Hello, how are you today? We're going to start with Unit 1, the basic economic problem. What we will be doing is defining the economic problem. These are the objectives for today. Analyzing examples regarding the economic problem, and we will talk about the difference between economic goods and free goods. Okay, now in general, this chapter will be talking about how you can think like an economist, okay, and you will be capable of understanding how to make the right choices at the end. Okay, so right now, this is the first thing that we will be doing. What is the basic economic problem? When I'm talking about an economic problem, I'm not talking about my personal problem. This is a problem that everyone in the world faces, okay? All of us are being affected by it. Now, the problem is we always want more. Humans are known to be greedy by nature, okay? They always ask or demand for more things. They're never satisfied. So even if you think this person is happy, he has everything, he might want something else, not necessarily financial, okay? And other than that, so we already agree that the human wants are unlimited. The problem is we have scarce resources. This is a new term that you will learn. Scarcity or scarce resources. It means they are limited in amount. Okay, I always would like you to use this term. So because of that, people are forced at the end to choose because they cannot satisfy all of their needs and wants because of the scarce resources that we have. Now, as we continue, you'll understand more. Okay, so when you are asked about the economic problem, or you might be asked define the economic problem as an external question, when we need to define, you need to say that we have scarce resources and people have unlimited wants. This is why they have to do choices. They have to choose what is best for them. So as you can see, you need to label or mention three things. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, the second thing is we will be talking about production. What is production? Production, I don't want you, when you are asked to define production, tell me to produce goods and services. We should never use the same term again. So when we are talking about production, you can use another term. You can say the making of or manufacturing, okay, of goods and services. Okay, later on we will give examples about goods and services and explain the difference between them. But for now, you need to know people that produce the goods and services, we call them producers. Now, in order to produce the goods and services at the end, we need to pass through a process of production. First, we need something called inputs. These inputs, I can call them factors of production. And this is the main thing in this chapter. Factors of production are resources or inputs that we use in order to make the final good or service that people buy at the end, consumers buy at the end. Now, before we reach that point, it passes through a process of production. Okay? We have people called entrepreneurs. These guys, they are the risk takers, and now we'll explain them because they are also factors of production. Okay, these guys, they are the decision makers in the company. They decide how much shall they produce, how many goods and services. They decide how much they need to pay the workers, how many workers should they hire. Now, land, labor, capital, and enterprise are our 4 factors of production. Okay, guys? So when I'm asked to define production, you say when we are using inputs, or I can call inputs resources, or finally, I can call them factors of production. They all mean the same thing. So production is when I use inputs in order to produce outputs, or we can call them the final good or service. Okay? Now, let's talk about the difference between goods and services. Goods, they are anything with physical properties. It means anything tangible. The term tangible, it means we can see or touch. So, for example, if I want to give an example, it would be I'm talking about cars. I'm talking about computers. I'm talking about keyboards. Anything that we can see or touch. Services, on the other hand, when you go to the hairdresser, they are providing you with a service. They are cutting your hair, dyeing your hair, whatever it is. Services also is education. Now, the teacher, right now I am teaching you, this is education. You do not consider education physical because you do not care about me as a person. You care about what I am telling you, what I am teaching you. What I am telling you, you cannot see or touch. So this is why we consider education as a service. Hospitals provide services. Drivers provide a service. When you go to the nail salon, they are providing you with a service, and so on. So all of these are considered services, but definitely they might be using goods in order to provide the service. So for example, when you go to the hairdresser to cut your hair, he is using scissors. Scissors are considered to be goods. Scissors are tangible. But the cutting of the hair is a service. Education, I am teaching you, this is a service. But when I am using the book or I am using the laptop or whatever it is, the laptop or the book, they are considered goods. Drivers, they are providing you a service, but when they use the car itself is the good. Okay? This is section 1 from unit 1. Now we will be talking about section 2, the factors of production. I told you we will explain them later on in more details, and this is when I will explain them. Okay? The factors of production, you guys, they are 4 factors of production. And another term, as we said, for factors of production, I said I can call them inputs, or also I can call them resources. Okay? So in this section, we will define what are factors of production. So by the end of the chapter, you should be capable of giving us a definition. And you should also be capable of listing the characteristics of the factors of production. And we will be talking about mobility of the factors of production. Mobility, it's a term that we will explain. And how can we increase the quantity or the quality of our factors of production. Now, before we start with this, I will try to explain something very easy. I want you to think about what might the difference between needs and wants be. If you are asked to define need, remember, do not use the same term. So I do not want you to tell me I need it. You did not explain anything. Needs, it means they are necessities in life that we cannot survive or live without. We have 5 basic needs and we cannot argue about them. So for all the people in the world, they agree that these 5 things that I'm going to mention right now, they are needs, essentials in life that we cannot survive without. The first one would be air. We need air in order to breathe. Second one would be water. I need to drink. The third one would be shelter. Now, shelter, I'm not talking about a mansion or a villa or a castle. I need a roof to protect me from the heat, to protect me from the rain. So no matter how big or small, I need something to protect me. It's a shelter. So it becomes a need. When I tell you right now, I'm living, for example, in a 2-bedroom apartment. If I tell you I want to move to a villa with pool and gym facilities and so on, it would become a want. When I'm talking about a villa, for instance, okay? So these are 3 basic needs that we cannot argue about. And the 4th one, come on, think with me. 4th and 5th. What do you think the 4th one would be? Let's talk about clothes. Clothes also, I'm not talking about brands, okay? I'm talking about regular clothes, anything. It could be a shirt for 5 dirhams, okay? So whether we are rich or poor, we need to wear clothes. Now I know some of you might be thinking, Miss, we can't survive without clothes. No, it's not true. Because for instance, the people that live in Russia, they cannot survive without clothes, right? And the 5th one would be, come on, think with me. Food. The most important thing. We cannot survive without food, okay? So we need these 5 things, whether we are rich or poor, in order to survive. Now, wants are the luxuries, and we can survive without having them, okay? So as we said, if I want to buy a Gucci bag, it becomes a luxury. If I want to buy or live in a villa, it becomes a luxury. Food, also food could be luxurious sometimes. So for instance, I'm not talking about bread. Bread is a need. I'm talking about shrimps, caviar, these expensive foods, okay? They are considered to be wants. Now, let's talk about, before I explain the factors of production, I will explain it in another recording. I want to talk about free goods and economic goods. Free goods, please, and this is a misconception students usually tend to do. Do not tell me it's the samples that we get for free and we do not pay for. No. Free goods, it is the opposite of scarcity. Okay? So free goods, it means they are abundant. Okay? We have them in large quantities. Free goods, it could be, an example about free goods, it could be water or it could be air. They are found abundantly. Now, someone might argue and say, no, miss, they are not abundant, they are scarce, because we do not have fresh air and fresh water. They are polluted. So if you explain and tell me they are polluted and that's why they are scarce, it would be right. But if you do not mention the word polluted, you can mention these as being free goods because they are abundant. Okay? Economic goods, so they are unlike free goods. Cars and computers, along with most other goods and services, are economic goods. This is because they are limited in supply. If you drive a car, use a computer, or even wear a coat or eat a cake, these goods will no longer be available to others to use because they are limited in supply. People are therefore willing to pay to obtain these and other economic goods in order to satisfy some of their needs and wants. Okay, so economic goods mainly, it is the opposite of free goods. So economic goods, they are scarce. Okay, what is consumption? Consumption, it's another term that we can use for consumption. It would be buying or using up goods and services. Remember when we explained production before? They are manufacturing goods and services. Okay, producers are manufacturing goods and services for the consumers to buy. So when consumers, who are they? They are the people that buy or use up goods and services. Okay, in order definitely to satisfy our needs and wants. Consumption expenditure is another term that we will explain, and it is expenditure, it means spending. So when we spend money in order to buy the goods and services. Now guys, I do not have time. The video will end now. I will explain exchange in another video. Okay, and we'll continue with the factors of production. Thank you.